my job when you come to school is when you leave school, I want you saying goodbye in the afternoon, saying when you walk past Mr. Mac, saying see you later Mr. Mac with a smile on your face. If you've left school happy, you've connected with your family, you've connected with your teachers at school, and you've connected with your mates. And if you do that, you go home happy, your parents are happy.
Welcome to the Legacy Collective podcast. My name's Brendan and I'm from School Fun Run. Today I'm talking to the principal from Gainsborough State School. We talk about what it's like to be a foundation principal, how to create great culture, and how to foster wonderful relationships with children in the student body. I hope you enjoy the chat. So I'm wondering if we just start our chat off with you, reflecting on your career as an educator and maybe just sharing a couple of stories about kids that have come into your influence and you feel that you've made a difference to them.
You hope you're going to make a difference. And look, I came from school this morning and we had a kid that we've just, with intensive work in 5 days, this kid's prep. And in 5 days, we've got him turning around now, letting mum leave the school. So that's a small thing, but you impact. You hope that by the end of the day, each day you've impacted some kid the right way. I've been doing this, 34 years now, 34 years in schools, and there's probably multiple kids that I can think about that I hope I've changed the direction. I actually don't know. I know some of them I have. Others that I look at, there's one in particular. Back in when I was at Labrador, we worked really heavily with this child. Pretty ordinary background. School was a safe place for him. The 6 hours he had with us was consistent, was regular. He didn't have that at home, and we did a lot of work with him. We had some wins, we had a lot of failures, but there was a time when he left school. He would have been about probably grade 10, and I don't think he completed high school from my knowledge. And he walked into school one day, he came back, and as he walked in, he was walking up towards me, and I actually looked at him and thought, oh, this could go both ways here, because my relationship with him was, it was good, but there were certainly times that weren't good. And he was a big boy by then. He was bigger than me, and he towered as he walked towards me with his mate who I didn't know. And I thought, okay, let's see how he goes. But he walked up, and as he realised who I was, as he came up towards me, he looked at me. He said, "Mr. Mac, great to see you." And he came and gave me a big hug.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 4 years after he'd left our school under duress. Yeah. But I know that he'd been in a bit of strife with police and with the law, but I'd like to think that he had a connection with us, and even though there were some bad times and tough times there, he always knew where he was and knew where the line in the sand was. Yeah, school can definitely be, from talking to the principals I've had a chat to, school can be a bit of a safe haven. I mean, it's not for everybody. Yeah. Some kids that come from a difficult background can also rebel at school, but they do get something potentially at a good school that they may not be getting at home. Yep. And there's a lot to being an educator. Like, did you say you've been doing that for 34 years? Is that 34 or 35?
Yeah, yep. Okay. So probably a couple of questions off the back of that would be, what have you seen change over that time that really stands out for you as being different in the school system, for better or for worse? And what is the role, I know this is a difficult question, but what is the role of the modern day teacher? Because when I went to school, my maths teacher taught me math, and I came from a pretty healthy home life, so I wasn't going to be the kid that was leaning on my teacher for anything more than traditional education. But from talking to a lot of educators, I know that their role these days is quite diverse. Yeah. So my questions are, what are the things that teachers get up to these days, and how has education changed in the last 3 decades? Lots and lots. The complexity of our community is probably the biggest part. The complexity of home and home life for the kids and the families, and the competing things that parents now have to deal with. Something as simple as homework that I'm not a big fan of, but it creates a massive issue for parents. A lot of parents now, you've either got, there's no grey with when you talk about homework with home life, that parents either want it or they don't. There's no in the middle, but something as simple as that creates massive issues for many kids and families, working families, that they come home, the kids are in after school care, before school care, after school care, so they're having 11, 12-hour days and then coming home and having to do homework.
That's just one little part. But the complexities of society, the demands on families, that's certainly become more and more. When I started teaching, I started at Woodridge North on grade 5, and there were probably, it was a tough class, it was a tough school, but there were probably 1 or 2 kids in my class that really I remember well, that I'd love to find out where they're at now, but they gave me a run for my money as a graduate teacher. But I still remember one of them very well. But in a class nowadays, in a big school in metro area or Gold Coast or Brisbane, you're now not talking 1 or 2 kids that are highly complex and challenging. You're talking 4 to 5 in every room. I regularly talk to some of our teachers and say, if you can't get your head around that, the only way around that is to head out far west regional Queensland, where you've got smaller schools. You've still got the complexities, but just not the numbers. And I think that's where the teachers, their role has, I think the role's always been there. That the biggest thing to me with my school, with Gainsborough, is to connect with kids. My job's always been really easy to parents. I say it's not a hard gig being a principal. There's 3 things you provide. 1, a school site, 2, great staff, which we've got lucky at Gainsborough. We've got 105 staff that are all handpicked. But the last thing is the most important. I say this to kids and families all the time, that my job when you come to school is when you leave school, I want you saying goodbye in the afternoon, saying when you walk past Mr. Mac, saying see you later, Mr. Mac, with a smile on your face. If you've left school happy, you've connected with your family, you've connected with your before school, you've connected with your teachers at school, and you've connected with your mates. And if you do that, you go home happy. Your parents are happy because the parents expect me to be like their dad. So to me, the teacher role is not just now teaching. It is counselling, it is supporting, it is often providing services and food and things that, clothing. It's guiding, it's advising. You take on the teachers now do a massive job. It's a huge job, and it's also impacted by the curriculum, the size of our curriculum now. And a lot of the part that probably frustrates me is when you listen to society, you listen to the media, it's the schools need to fix it. Yeah. And that's my frustration. I mean, I think we do a good job. Yeah. In fact, I know we do a good job. And part of our community is that connection is crucial. If the families feel they're connected, if the kids feel they're connected with you, that's half the battle.
I haven't met an educator yet that hasn't set a positive intention to do a good job. Yep. Like I just haven't met that person. They all lead with their heart, right? Yeah, like they got into it for a reason. Yeah. So whether people think schools are doing a good job or not, the point is it's a massive job, and it doesn't necessarily fall to a school to solve all of community's issues when it comes to kids. But like I said, the people in that education sector go there with the best of intent. Yeah. I think you should always judge someone on their intent, because, if they're getting up in the morning and they're going to school to educate kids and they're doing the best they can with a positive intent, that's what you get. Like that's what you're getting.
The joy I get is when you see the way the teachers interact and the staff, not just teachers. So I've got cleaners, teacher aides, youth workers, social workers, the way that everyone interacts with the kids. Just the joy that they get out of interacting and seeing that they've made a difference.
So as a principal, how do you set that sort of tone? Like what things have you got going in your school to facilitate that community school spirit kind of aspect?
When we I was lucky enough to set up Gainsborough from the start, so as a foundation principal, and that was what I set out to achieve, a positive culture. And culture to me is the key in a school. You can have the best curriculum, you can have the best teachers, you can have the best school site, but if your culture's not there, and the culture is something I often talk to parents when they say, how do you find it, if they're moving, how do you find a good school? And they'll ask me, there's 5 schools in the area I'm going to, which one should I go to? So the advice is always the same. You walk in, don't look at a website, don't look at Facebook, go walk into the school, go and meet people, and you feel it. If you feel it, you'll know whether the school's got a good culture the minute you walk into that office or when you're walking around the school. And that's something that I think we established. It was tough when we started because we started in COVID times. So when we had to set the school up, it was COVID and we couldn't meet. You couldn't meet. You had to have restricted meetings. You couldn't run community console groups. So it was tough to set up. But showing families that you are there for them, and that involves being at the gate in the morning, that involves being at the gate in the afternoon and interacting with kids, going to football games on the weekend, watching a kid play footy. I had a bet with one of the boys today that if their footy team beat my footy team, I had to wear their jersey around all day. Luckily we won, so he's wearing mine right now at school. It's being part of the school, and the kids need to know you are, that the parents need to know that they're connected. The parents need to know that if they want to talk to you in the car park, they come up and say g'day to you, have a coffee with you in the car park. Yeah. That's culture. It's easy to set up. Yeah. And once it's set up, it really is just an enjoyable part of it.
So it's being involved. Yeah.
Being seen, being involved, being part of it.
We might have principals listening to this podcast. I hope that we do. And not all of them would have been lucky enough to be a foundation principal. So is there anything in particular about setting up a school that you could share in the event that one of these principals gets the opportunity that you had? Should they know anything?
Be prepared to have about a year and a half no holidays. No break. You work all the way through. No, look, it was something I always wanted to do, and that was to set up a school from the start and set it up the way that I thought was the way to go. Be able to recruit the right people in the right position, and that's crucial. You've got to get the right people in the right position, and you've got to have the right mix.
And did you pick people that you knew, or does the department send you people to pick from? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, a bit of both. There's different processes, different ways that you have to recruit. You've got to, there's a lot of boxes you've got to tick. There were some people that, yes, I did know that I brought across that some teachers that had worked with me previously. And some of those people came across. There were some executives and some of the admin staff that came over. They had to apply. Obviously, they're classified positions, but they've got to win it. Mm-hmm. So there were some that did. There were some that didn't. But that's been probably the biggest piece of work to make certain we've got the right amount of people in the right position, but also to future-proof it. The biggest challenge for the foundation school is that we started with 298 kids back in 2021, and we've now got just under 900. We'll get about 1,200, 1,250 in about 3 years. So staying ahead of the game and not being overtaken.
So in the last, 4 years, something like that?
Yep.
You've gone from how many kids?
298 to just under 900.
300 to 900. So the school's sort of tripled in size in a 4-year period.
And the biggest thing that in my observations, whether they're right or wrong, but schools that start, when you start, you get fantastic resources. You get, bucket loads of money thrown at you in essence, because you've got anything that if you can imagine picking a school up and tipping it upside down, if it falls out of it, you've got to build it, make it, design it, or purchase it. So you've got a lot of money and a lot of things to happen straight away. But if you're not prepared for that rapid growth and you don't have your processes in play and you don't have consistent lines, you don't have people swimming the same direction, you're going to come unstuck. So that's something that is the challenge. But I think we've got that right, and I think our results and our standing in the community, we certainly see it. But that's the best part, seeing the community around the school. That's what I love, coming to school every day to be part of our community, because I see what we're doing with them. My son's a teacher. He's I didn't think he'd do that. He's now 4 years into high school teaching, which I'd never do. I take my hat off to any high school teacher at all. I've been primary all the way through. But I think the first year I was...
Do you think he's doing that just to show you up?
Look at me, Dad. He does like to tell me what we're getting wrong in primary school. He told me that after his first prac. Rang me and said, "Dad, you're getting reading wrong." So, thanks. So look, I think my advice to him in that first year was it's a lot of work, and he saw how much work I did as a principal growing up. But obviously as a teacher, there's a lot of stuff that you don't realise you're going to do. You go in it with the intent of, yes, you've got to like being around kids, but you've also got to go in with the intent that it's not just about being in front of them and teaching them, it's about what you do behind the scenes to the kids and the families. And I've seen, if I use him as an example, I've seen him really grow in the last 12 to 15 months, where he's now taken on a lot of things outside just the teaching, and he's doing the extracurricular. There's a rugby league development program that he's heading up, which means, yes, it's big hours out of school. There's excellence programs he's now part of, and he's now seeing that the kids are coming up to him, recognising the parents are wanting to engage with him. And it's that stuff that you do, the extra, that's what you do for teaching. You do. It's not just teaching the curriculum. That's the to a certain degree, it's the easiest stuff. It's also probably the boring stuff to certain if I talk about that in very loose terms, but it's the other things that you do around the back that make the community, make the school what it is. And when you really have impact on kids, when you see what you're doing with them, and that the kids remember that. They don't remember the lesson that you taught them. They remember what you thought about them, what you did for them.
So did you have a favourite teacher?
I did.
Tell me about your favourite teacher growing up.
David Pitt. He was my grade 7 teacher back in primary school. I went to a school in Brisbane, Southside Brisbane, and he was strict, really strict. Back in the days when you probably got away with a bit more back then than you can now. But the thing with David, Mr. Pitt, we used to call him Pitty. The thing with Pitty, you would always know where the line was, and if you stepped over that line, you knew it. But you could have a heap of fun up until that point, and you worked out very quickly when to stop, when to learn. And strangely enough, it turned out when I finished school, I went to primary school and then high school, finished high school and went to uni, and ended up doing teaching, probably not because I really, at that stage, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a typical 17-year-old boy, wanted to play cricket and run and play footy. And ended up doing teaching because both my sisters had taught. They were both teachers. They were both, considerably older than me. So I thought I'll look at doing it and see what happens, and then I'll probably find something else sooner or later. And I worked out pretty quickly on the first prac, second prac, that this was actually pretty cool, and I liked it. It was good fun and connecting with kids and doing it and showing that I can be there. So did my teaching degree, finished that, and the first school I walked into as a teacher, I walked in and met the deputy principal. It was Pitty.
Oh,
He'd gone
really?
from a class teacher, and he was the deputy at my school where I started at Woody North. So I sat down with him, and it was strange then because he was my teacher up in grade 7, and then I had to sit across the table, and he was a colleague. So, but
that's such a cool story.
Yeah, he was a great man.
And other than Pitty, who do you credit for making you the man that you are today?
I think educationally, I put a lot of, I did schools in Brisbane, in Gold Coast, started Woodridge North, and I sort of took the small school principalship early on in my career. I'd been teaching about 2 years, and then year and a half, 2 years, and then went out to a small school out McElwraith, about 30 minutes west of Bundaberg, with 13 kids in it. The principal at Regent's Park back at the time, Jan Kazakoff, she showed a degree of confidence in me and really pushed the fact that I could do that. And she said, "You've got the skill set. If you want this is where do you learn." So I took the leap of faith and applied for it and got it. And you learn very, very quickly when you're by yourself in the middle of nowhere, and you've got 13 kids and all sugarcane farmers around you that know everything, and they're very heavily involved in the school. So I think Jan Kazakoff for showing that initial push for me to make me do it. I think it would have been very easy just to sit where I was and just stay there.
And how old were you at that point? Like how far into your career were you?
A year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Year and a half.
Wow. So you were very new.
Still very green.
Yeah.
Very green. And then I did a bit of regional Queensland stuff up around Bundaberg, and then decided to come back down the coast for some family things, and ended up at Labrador as a deputy principal, and really learnt then how to be in a big school, because I'd never been as a leader in a big school. I'd been obviously in the small schools out in regional Queensland and in Bundaberg. And the principal then, Brian Ra at the school, he really showed me how you connect with community. He was the one that really established. There were lots of things I knew I could do very well operationally, but seeing how he managed his staff, how he managed the parents, how he managed the school, the community, that was an eye-opener. So Razi and I are still good mates. We still connect regularly. I learnt a hell of a lot of him. So a lot of who I am now is based off what I learnt of him, watching him for years.
How would you describe your leadership strategies or persona?
Trust other people to do their job. So get the right people in the right positions. I'm not a fan of micromanaging. People have got their positions because they're good at what they do. Whether they're a cleaner, whether they're a youth worker, whether they're a deputy principal, teacher, whatever they may be. Trust them to do their job, give them the tools they need to do their job effectively, resource it properly, and support them absolutely to no end. And when things go wrong, things go wrong. Things happen in schools, things happen in a workplace, things happen in life. We don't get it right all the time, but there's no point crucifying people about it. Work it out, learn from it, fix it up. It's a speed bump. So not micromanage, trust that other people are there to do their job. I've got my fingers in a lot of different areas around the school, but there's a lot of people who have got way more than that control happening, and I need them to do that to run the school effectively. I'll run, and it's again getting the right people in the right position. So my strength is around the community, the communication, the resourcing, getting things right. There's other people who have strength in a variety of areas, and if I get them right, they do that. I do my part. We all do our part. Down to the grounds officer who does his part. Everyone does their part properly. It's the way that I know that Wayne Bennett used to say, if everyone does what they do, your designed role on the football field, do it to the best of your ability and do it well, we win games. It's no different in school. It's exactly the same.
Except he doesn't have 900 kids to get in the way, but I understand. No. I think your job's a bit harder, but anyway. So what do you have anything at your school, or do you have anything else to add to that when we're talking about leadership, or can we?
No, look, it's funny because I don't see myself as, I don't look at myself and say I'm a leader. I look at myself and say I manage a school site and work with the community. I love what I do. I love turning up to work, and I love being with the kids and with the families. My favourite part of the day is in the morning and the afternoon when I'm out there at the start, saying good day to parents, or in the car park, even in the car park at the end of the day when the car park is pandemonium. So I often have to go out there and direct traffic, but have a bit of fun doing it. Have a laugh with the parents, have a talk. So my favourite parts are that.
Talk to me a little bit about school culture and how teachers and principals and, I suppose, digest the responsibility they have in that realm.
One of the things that we will always go around, if I'm walking around the school, if I'm at the moment hobbling around on a sore foot, but is getting around and acknowledging kids as they walk. If you're walking past someone, you say hello to them. Yeah. You engage with them, you talk about it. And one of the things that we're really big with at our school is that the kids have to return. It's not just one-sided. And the kids will often, I walked around the other day and yesterday, and I was saying good day to one of the kids when we were walking out, and they turned around and they said, how's your day been, Mr. Mack? Is your foot feeling better? And that's not uncommon. And we can have kids come into the school, new parents enrol, and I do all enrolments for all the kids from grade 1 to grade 6, and our DP for the preps does the prep ones she does the separate one with those. But we walk around at the end of that. We've got an enrolment process. It's a video. It's me having a conversation with them, getting some information about the kids, and then we take them out for a look around the school. And the kids in the school will now know that when I'm walking around with another parent with your kids in tail that aren't in uniform, the kids will come up to them and actually say, welcome to Gainsborough. You'll love this school. It's the best part. Wow. This is the best part. And the parents often look at me and say, wow.
Yeah.
But that's
You've trained them well, Clay.
Yeah, but it's something that we expect the kids to talk with adults and be part of it and understand that it's not just, we're not teachers. We're there to connect with them. Goes back to that before, kids don't learn from people they don't like. If I look at teachers walking around the school, and one of the things I love looking at is when kids who've been in that teacher's class 4 years ago and they've gone through 4 different teachers, but they still walk past that teacher and come up and give her a big hug. Yeah. And that's when you know the power of what you do. Yeah. And that's not one person. I've got 37 classrooms now.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Every single one of those classrooms is filled with kids that have a future, and their future starts, yesterday. It's happening all the time.
There's kids that we have. There's a good news story that we talk about often with one of our students at the moment. Their attendance rate was about 30%. School wasn't really a priority for the student. He's still there. We got him involved in an engagement program that we had running. We do a few things differently around engagement and trying to, we used the word alternate programming for a while. We now call it engagement programs, but fishing. We got him involved in a fishing program on a Friday. I take kids fishing on a Friday afternoon, and this kid's attendance rate is now sitting about 94%. Comes to school, engages with me in the morning, will walk up to me and want to talk about fishing on the weekend. From someone with 30% to 90%, and we managed to do that in about 7 months.
That's so good, because you just have no idea the impact that's going to have for the rest of that kid's life, and then you don't know what that kid's going to do for someone else's life, because that's the beautiful thing about legacy. It's a force multiplier. You make one person's life better, they'll go and make 10 people's lives better, then 100 people's lives become better, all because you took time to invest in one.
And then that payoff for us is also that you invest in that one person. It's the same in the car park. I don't have to go and do car park duty in the afternoon. I don't have to go and stand out there and talk to parents or talk to kids. But talking to parents, when things do go wrong, you've got a relationship with them. So the boys that I take fishing on a Friday, we sit around for an hour and we fish off a jetty, and we talk about, could be various things, could be stuff happening at home, could be footy field incidents, could be behaviour things, but the relationship you have with those kids is stuff you can call back on later. So.
Do you think that would have been possible years ago to take the kids fishing?
Yeah, there's probably a lot more hoops to jump through now.
So you think it's harder now than before?
Oh, it was a lot easier, I'd say, years and years ago.
Sure.
Thinking of some of the things that we used to do with the kids out in regional Queensland, but I think that's where we do things differently. It's trying to say, well, look, if it's not working the way we're doing it, we've got to change it. It's not going to change if we keep doing the same thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
We've got a massive number of alternative program options because not all kids learn the same way.
Like, at what point in your career did you go, oh, this is not just a job where I'm teaching kids maths or English. This is actually I'm changing people's lives?
Probably small schools. So that would have been 3 years in, 2.5, 3 years in. So you're right. When I went to uni, how I got through university is beyond me because I certainly didn't study hard. But I did my first prac, and we did back then. It was 2 pracs a year. So whereas now it's basically you do 4. And it was the first prac I had when I came home. I thought, this is actually pretty good. And I can do this, and I was good at it. But it still wasn't community. I was a prac student. I was as green as anything, and you were just watching and learning and trying to manage behaviour because that was the first thing you got to do. But it wasn't until I stepped into that small school where you're it. It's easy to be when you're a teacher in a school and you've got a deputy and you've got a principal and you've got your colleagues next to you and teacher aides, and there's always people that can help you when things go wrong. When you're sitting in a school and you've got yourself and you've got a teacher aide, and that's it, and a community that expects you to be able to do it, and
a whole set of eyes looking at you,
and they do,
and they're expecting. You got to add some value here.
The news travels very quickly in small schools.
Yeah.
I think that was very quickly worked it out there. It didn't take long to say, okay, it's powerful. And I've got an ability here to really do some good stuff.
Teaching as a profession, what would you say to people that are thinking, like, say yourself, like when you left school, you weren't really sure what you wanted to do, so you chose to be a teacher, and now here you are all these years later.
Yep.
Would you advocate for a teaching career?
It's a tough career. Yes, I would, and I suppose I would have steered my son away from it if it wasn't something that I would see as beneficial. But I think the benefit is in everything we've spoken about. It's about what you get out of it. Is what you put. It's related to what you put in. If you come to school and just get your paycheck and do the bare basics minimum, what impact are you having with kids? Probably minimal. It's what you connect, how you connect with kids. What do you see in kids, and what can you actually help them see in themselves? So I would advocate for that always, and I think the value that I see my son get, and I know that I get, and I know my teachers get, is when you see the rewards pay off for that extra work that you put in, for that extra bit of time, for that weekend work that you do, for the footy training that you do after school, or the providing the fun run, just doing something as simple as this. That's what the kids talk about every year. You do fun run, they talk about it because it's different. It's not teaching. It's not a curriculum subject. So I would advocate for it. But in saying that, it's a tough job, and if you're doing it for the holidays, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And I don't think most people do. In my honest, we see a lot of prac students come through in not just our school, but many schools I've been in, and very few teachers. I think if they're doing it for the holidays, they don't last long, because it's not a 9 to 3 job, or we start at 8:30, finish at 2:30. I don't think there's too many teachers ever that do that amount of hours and knock off. They're working before school, they're working heavily after school, at night, on weekends, on holidays. So I think that there's a lot of, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you do it because you want to be around kids and you want to be part of a community. I think that's the biggest thing, not because you like kids. You want to be part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So, I would add, and we need it. You can't you can't replace teachers with AI.
Well, look, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think we've done okay, mate.
All right. Well, Clay, thank you so much for spending time on the podcast with us today. I hope that the people listening have taken a lot out of it, and I hope that people that are thinking about going into a teaching career just really understand the gravity of the opportunity that is in front of them to make a difference in those kids' lives. Mm-hmm. And if they can connect with that as an idea, then it sounds like that could be a great way to go.
Absolutely. Great career to have.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Legacy Collective podcast, copyright by School Fun Run. Today's episode was brought to you by Funzy. You can find out more at funzy.com.au. And if you'd like to access other podcasts, we produce one called Chase the Fun. It's narrated by Chase the Cheetah, and it's made specifically for kids in primary school to help them develop characters to become the best human beings they can be. See you in the next episode.